G'day guys, welcome back to another video. It's Enno here from Fantasy Take TV. Today, just going to go over the round 14 review. A little bit late, been a bit busy last couple of days. Got a job which involves me to get some stuff done by sort of Sunday night, generally Monday, and then start up playing some basketball as well with a few mates on Monday nights as well now, which is good. Haven't played in probably 3 or 4 years. So that was a bit of fun. And then, I got the podcast later on tonight, so you might watch this before then, but we'll be live at 8:30 if you are watching before then on George's channel. So go and jump in. But in regards to SuperCoach, my team scored the big 2001. It just reminds me of the start of the Lions dynasty back then. But as a little kid watching that, I went a bit rogue this week with SuperCoach. That point in the season where my team's quite not up to scratch. Like, yes, I am sort of now sitting just inside the top 1,000, but, to me, what's a 1,000 rank compared to a 2 or a 3? Like, you really, want to be pushing for that top, couple of hundred. And, I think if I just play it safe from here on out, I mostly have up until this point. Just stuff hasn't worked out for me. Cop a few injuries on some trade-ins, like I'm sure everyone has, but I captained Took for his 40, I brought in Mills for his 4, got injured, and just a few other misses as well. Never jumped on Butters or Track or even Merritt stuffed that up as well. So a few things have cost me. Had a really bad year in captaincy. Like I haven't got the average. I don't even want to check it because I just know how bad it is. So that's obviously cost me as well, but I'll sit here inside the top 1,000. If a few more things have gone my way, obviously I'd be a lot higher. But I thought I might do some pod moves to finish the season. I'm very low on trades. I've got 2 premiums left to get, so at sort of minimum I'll be going to. I can do that in 3, which we'll talk about in a sec. But most likely get there in 4, and then we'll just have to figure out the way we do it. I'll get to the team now. We'll just go through it. But yeah, obviously you see my score, you see my rank, and we'll see what happens. And if you follow me on Twitter, you would have seen. But there is no Tim English in my team anymore. So I wanted to. Well, we can talk about the way I'm going. I'm still not sure what I'll do from here on out. I've got a few options, but opted to hold on to Sicily in the end just for the week. I was probably 90% sure he wasn't going to get off, but obviously there's always that little bit of hope. That obviously didn't happen last night. And then, I have a chance to either still move him on this week to a premium, or I can still opt to hold him and finish my team other ways, but obviously that will affect who I can afford and who I get. So after Briggs, with the fact that I already had DC in the team, I could sit Briggs with the emergency on him at R3, and then if he got a good score like he did, another really good score from him, he's averaging 116 in I think it's 5 games now, right? Hasn't gone under the ton yet. Has had some actual pretty hard matchups as far as rucks. Rowan did all right his first game. Nank, that's not an easy matchup. He did well. Goldie's been really, really good, even as old as he is. And then Luke Jackson's probably a bit of an easy one for someone like Briggs, who's a big brute of a ruckman and could dominate the hitouts a bit more. But Jackson was still pretty good around the grounds, and Briggs still did very, very well. So obviously most people that have Briggs with the Rowan, with the Marshall English setup were probably going to trade him this week. But I just thought he's looking good enough to be that sort of R2, R3 scorer himself. And look, he's in a bit of form right now. He's only just got back into the side. And yes, he definitely could drop off at some point, but I'm really backing him in to actually do well for the rest of the year. So that was the pod move I made. And then obviously with English having his bye this week, he was the one to make way over Rowan, which obviously you would, doesn't take a genius to know I'd love to hold English instead of Rowan, but Rowan gives you that score this week. And we can talk about ways I actually could go back to English, and that would involve trading Sicily to do so. So, look, we'll go through the team quickly, and then we'll get to some options I have. But there is a bit here. I haven't said who I brought in, and you can probably see it by now, but I brought in Wanganeen Malira for English. So I did some, obviously, DPP, shuffling around. And then the plan was to, you know, if I wanted to keep Sicily, then sort of Wanganimala and Will Day would sort of be my D7 / they both got mid status. They can be covering the midfield as well. And that was my thinking there. But, you know, if I obviously end up trading Sicily, then they'll be my D5, D6 from here on out as well. So, as I said, we'll get to that in a bit on what I'm choosing to do. But I basically just have one midfielder and one forward left to get. 150k in the bank, and then the 6 trades. But I have obviously Humphrey's money. I've got MJ, who unfortunately bit of a dud score. Should still play this week, but really, you know, we were hoping to get him 300 or get up to 300k. That's probably not the case anymore. And then obviously Ford as well, who again he scored 30 as well, and sort of stunted his growth a little bit. And then obviously we've got Chincotta as well there, who might end up just being my cover. We'll see. We'll see what I opt for there. But yeah, the team, Stewart scored a 90, pretty pedestrian game from him, just sort of chugged along as he always does, and slept walk to a 91 in a game that he didn't really do much. So, you know, I always take that from him. Sinclair was very good. I think he was on about 50 a quarter time, right? So, yeah, I was at the game. Obviously, second half started to rain, and that actually affected, both of the Saints boys there, who were going pretty well in the first half. Wanganimala, I was sitting there in the MCC, and I see him pull. Lucia, I think it was the first contest he was in, maybe, or maybe he had a tackle before that, but went over to spoil the ball and landed awkwardly on his knee and was hobbling it off. And I'm just thinking, that's really is my season, isn't it? Just summed up in a nutshell. But he managed to come back on, have a good first half. I think he was on 45-ish or something, and second half just wasn't his go. Started obviously bucketing down. And he had 10 clangers in the end. And I know wet game, there was a lot of clangers from a lot of players, but to end up with 10 just isn't like that's just not like him. So part of my reasoning bringing him in was looking at, him and Sinclair, and Sinclair did spend 100% of time in defence, which is what I want to see. And the run that they have, Brisbane at Marvel, then they got West Coast away, which I'm not concerned about. That's going to be, easy pickings for them, although there might not be much ball down there. But then Melbourne at Marvel, Gold Coast away, and then look at this Marvel run after them. North, Hawthorn, Carlton, Richmond, and then Geelong, all at Marvel. So it's 7 of the next 9 at Marvel Stadium, and then Brisbane at the Gabba to finish it off the season. So, at Marvel, they're going to, no threat of weather, no threat of any of that. Going to be able to play their game style there. So, even if I end up doing the Sicily trade and having Naz, as I like to call him, at D5, D6, whatever you want to call it, probably D6 obviously with Will Day at the minute, although Naz is a higher price. I think I'll be fairly happy with that. Everyone's sort of got a bit of a not dud but questionable D5, D6 anyway. So that's where I went. Obviously disappointing to get a 59 first up, but I still think I'm pretty positive for how he's going to go for the next couple of months. Bont was obviously huge on Saturday. Obviously wished captained him in the end, but that wasn't to be. Neil was massive, had him for a couple of weeks now, and that that was clearly his best game. I would even say of the year. I know he spanked North in gather round, but I think just the way he actually looked, it's just night and day compared to last week against Hawthorn. How they looked at the G, he just up at the Gabba. That they do love it up there. So happy with Neil. Brayshaw and Sarong, Freo, I thought they might have turned a corner, but it was probably a bit of a false reading on them. They played really poor, negative football. Shrek back this week, I think, is big for them. So Jackson played well, but he does eat up into a bit of the, ball around the stoppage himself, clearances and whatnot, contested ball, because, he's more of that hybrid ruck rover type more than a true ruckman, and Shrek back into the midfield, giving them first use. I think that's going to be a lot better for definitely Sarong, and then in turn Brayshaw of, being able to win more inside ball, get it out to Andy and be able to excel that way. So hopefully that will improve them with Shrek back this week. Tom Green had his probably best game of the year as well, or close to it. Was super dominant early against that Freo midfield, as I was saying, and really played well. Sammy, this was definitely his best game as well. I know scores might be higher in previous rounds or when he sort of first came back into the side, but he was just a lot more damaging. Unfortunately didn't have a lot of, I think he had 1 mark or maybe none for the game and only 2 or 3 tackles, but a lot of his kicks were damaging. Ended up with 500 metres gain. There was that period in the second quarter when Carlton were absolutely dominating, where he had literally 3 centre clearance, inside 50, goal assist to, the big forwards. And that's the way I want to see him playing from here on out. And Carlton, for that matter. Like, yes, Sammy's still been getting your 30 most weeks, but it hasn't been damaging. And if Carlton, hopefully, for SuperCoach's sake and owning Sam Walsh, they continue to play like they did on the weekend. So, because if they go back to the ways they were, I don't think Sam's going to score as well, for the rest of the season. Yes, it only is a 108, but if he can just get some more marks and some cheaper stuff that just seem to go this week for whatever reason, then he'll be a much better pick for the rest of the year. MJ we spoke about, a bit disappointing. Then obviously we got other guys led on the bench who'll be back this week. Rowan, I think, had a good first half, and just when the wet footy hit Nank, that's sort of his playground, and just started to dominate him in all the ball ups and contests around the ground. So I think Rowan, especially with that Marvel run as well, counts for him too. He'll be good going forward, but we'll obviously see what we might be able to do in getting English back from him. But we'll see. And then obviously DC's back this week, and we spoke about Briggs in the forwards. Dunks, Taranto, they've been absolutely on fire lately. I think both averaging about 120 for almost 2 months straight now. And obviously almost, the season as well. But I think maybe it's 120, maybe it's almost 130 for Dunks recently, and then Taranto 125 probably over the last month. So both flying. Rosie's been consistent all year. And then Errol's actually, started to come back a bit lately. Isn't actually still getting as much mid time as we would have thought, but he's such a gun. He can get it, post clearance outside of the contest, always there. But Sidley just in a bit of bad form at the minute. So, I mean, he's been probably one of their better players all year. It's just their team's horribly out of form thus far, and it's just interesting to see them and Geelong sort of sitting, outside the. I mean, Sydney are only 15th or something like that, 16th at the minute, which is just remarkable given that they obviously made the grand final last year. And then Humph just wasn't as much mid-time, unfortunately, than previous weeks, but still, tackled well, managed to eke out a 74 in the end, which is really nice. But we'll either, hold him for one more week, get a score off him, or possibly look at trading him, but we'll obviously discuss that soon. And then obviously Eddie Ford we spoke about as well. So if I just set my team up, how it will look just with all the premiums on the field, obviously not how I would set it up for this week, but just to sort of project forward into post this buy round. Obviously this buy round, I believe I have 17. If we just quickly look, to see out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then 17 with marriage. So, we'll sort that out in a sec. So pre-trade 17. Obviously was hoping Sicily would get off and then it'd be 18, and I'd probably just look at maybe making a rookie switch with Ford or something out. But so this is how the team looks. Obviously have this floating defender here who, can be placed in the midfield as well. So, as far as premiums in the team, or, use it loosely, because obviously Wangani, Malera, Will Day aren't your sort of top end. But really just have Humphrey here to upgrade to, in the forward line as far as getting to 22 premiums. But, I have sacrificed English. Sicily is obviously going to be out for 3 more weeks, so, that doesn't really count. Day will be sort of covering for him. So I still do need 2 premiums to go. And then we have, 150k in the bank. Money from Chincotta, money from MJ, money from Eddie Ford, and then Humphrey as well. So there's a few routes I can go. Clary is obviously going to be, or was projected to be, quite a highly traded in player if we quickly check how it's currently going this week. I suspect if he wasn't still under these injury clouds, that supposedly he is still battling to get fit by, I mean, they play Thursday night, Melbourne, so, in a couple of days, he'd be a lot higher than this, but it's actually, in fact, Darcy Cameron is the most traded in premium so far this round, which makes sense. He's at a cheap price. People finishing off their forward lines, gives you ruck cover, all that. You saw a couple of games before his bye that probably gave you some confidence that he's going to be good going forward from here. I obviously jumped on him pretty early, coming back from injury. But Clary's being 658k, didn't play that game before the bye, unfortunately, which, maybe he would have dropped a bit in price from. 139 break even isn't obviously unattainable for him, but comes up against Geelong, has scored very well against Geelong in the past, especially at GMHBA, but still talks of the infection that kept him out pre-bye lingering, or affecting his fitness a bit. Wasn't able to train much that week. So was only really started to get back into it this week. So he was ready to go from the hammy, but then that sort of might have set him back a bit. So look, it's hard to say now before the buys, but my plan initially was probably, if I just want to finish my team, go from Sicily to Clary and be done with it. Just keep Dane and Malera as my D5 and D6, and obviously it's not the greatest thing in the world, but I'll get Clary back in. I could grab a Merritt, I could grab who else is there? It's off by, that's really about it. I've already got Laird, but Merritt's about 85% owned in the top 1%, and that's for me, again, I'm not trying to get pods for the sake of it, but Clary, of course, I'd rather go him and be much less owned than Zach Merritt than grab Zach Merritt, of course. So that would be my plan, and then I would 140k left. Only really need to upgrade back from Humphrey, and I could do that quite easily just through Humphrey out and maybe MJ, grab a Butters, grab another rookie, and then be done with it. So obviously I wouldn't grab Butters this week, but this is just what I would do the following week. I'd keep MJ and Humphrey, get their score this week for the bye rounds, then bring in Butters, bring in just whatever rookie. Probably, to be honest, could just go for a 102k placeholder, doesn't really matter. Maybe get I think West Coast or someone like that, have some good looping options, a lot of late fixtures, and just do that. So yeah, whatever, I'll just grab someone. So then I'd have 107k left, 3 trades left for the rest of the year. But obviously I wouldn't have English, I wouldn't have James Sicily left. And Sicily, if I'm trading Sicily, he's kind of ungettable from here, unfortunately. I won't really be able to get him back in unless I was to use 2 trades and get rid of Chincotta as well, and sort of do, with this 107 that I'd have, go Chincotta down, there's 250, and whack the 250 on top of Will Day or something like that. But going down to 1 trade, obviously if I'm still at 3 trades in 3-4 weeks, then it's something you could definitely consider. But it'd be sort of getting rid of, all the cash I have, even the cover if Chincotta was actually being some decent cover, and you just would really have nothing left on the bench to do. So obviously in this case, actually I can keep Eddie or Chincotta that I would decide on. But that's sort of the first route I could go. Or actually if I keep that way and have a Butters or whatever coming in, that 100k could be used in 1 trade, 107, to go Rowan back to English in probably round 17, because you wouldn't be able to use 3 trades next week. So I would do that in round 17. Obviously they'll still be within range. Rowan might drop a bit more with a 130 break even, but I think English's break even is also 130, and to be fair, he can score that whenever. So maybe I would use 1 trade, go down to 2 and get English back and have English Briggs. As I said, I would love to have been Rowan, but that just doesn't work with the buys where I'd be, down a player this week. It just doesn't really make sense, and the points lost wouldn't really make sense there. So that's another option. Obviously gets rid of Sis. It's so annoying being a starter of Sicily, play through some dodgy roles from time to time, finally see him come good, and then get suspended, not only once but twice. I know a few people did jump on him for that, but just for me to have him all year, and then finally he comes good, and then to watch him go nuts probably on the run home when he is back, it would be quite tough. So I probably am leaning more towards doing Sicily out as an option, but it really is tough without Clary knowing if he's going to play, because if not, then I guess it's Petrarca. I guess it's probably is Zach Merritt in the end, which again I don't love, because it sort of matches a premium that a lot of people ahead of me would already have. But that's what it sort of looks like doing Clary out, but we'll grab him back. Sicily out. Sorry, we'll grab him back for now, just to show what I could do if I held him. So the options are much more limited if I do hold him. So let's say got to bring Will Day back here, because obviously he would be covering quite some time on the bench as Sicily sits off there. But what I would do now is just upgrade. Like this week, I would probably just hold. Maybe, have 17, maybe trade Eddie Ford to a playing rookie if there is one. Possibly Bytel might play. That's a bit of a hopeful, bit of hope there that he would come in, but it would be a decent playing rookie with some mid-time, but neither here nor there. Any playing rookie, Eddie Ford. And then next week, I'd have, about 300 in the bank, and I could go straight from Humphrey to, Butters, or I could do, MJ to a cheaper midfielder, or I could do another 2 trades. So then that's getting down to, I'll be going down to 2 pretty much guaranteed. Wouldn't be able to get back possibly in English or something, and then I'll just be holding out hope that Sicily, when he comes back, is going to go 130 from here on out, and just be that real point of difference for the run home. But so I'd have to get Butters, but then also like a really cheap midfielder, which I don't love, like maybe Noah Anderson or something like that, and then I'd probably end up trading Day just around the time Sicily is back, or maybe a week before, because you don't want to hold off too long, and then have Sicily back in, get Day up to a some sort of midfielder. Like there's Parrish, it's not as enticing as trading Sicily, I know, but then obviously you have Sicily, and then you hope Briggs and Rowan can at least get close to English from the run home, or dare I say it, you just English has broken down in years gone past in the latter half. So you don't wish that, but that's part of your reasoning for doing it. And then you have Sicily as I said, most people's D5, D6s are probably going 90 to 100, whereas you could plug Sicily back in for the last 8 weeks and have him go 130. That's a bigger gap than what Briggs or Rowan will be off English. So that's sort of the play there, or the thinking behind that. But obviously got to put some thought behind that this week, and really teams are going to dictate it. If Clary's in, then I'll probably just go him, Sicily to Clary. If he's not, then it makes it a bit more difficult on what to do. And there is another option that I do trade Sicily, but I wait another week, as silly as that sounds, and go him to Butters next week, and then get someone like a Libba, or one of those mids I don't have that has the bye this week as well, the following week. So there's a bit of a few ways to go, might I say, but obviously I took a bit of a punt, rolled the dice, getting rid of English this week. Briggsy, obviously would have loved English to score less, but you can't keep that man down. He's an absolute cheat code in all formats of fantasy, and just playing a bit of risk, for the run home. Have very low trades already. Still have to finish the team, and I'm gonna have it, at best 3, but maybe more likely than not 2, and quite a different team. Having Walsh in the midfield's not great. Obviously, Wanganeen Malira will have to hopefully live up to what I think he can do, but there's no guarantee there. He's only averaging 80 for the year. That could quite easily just continue to be that. And then obviously got DC, and I really want to get Butters. That's someone who is also still very low owned in the top teams. I think at around 25-30%. So been a joy to watch all year, and obviously yes, at 600k it hurts more than the people that got him in a lot earlier for under 500. But I think he's having a really good year. Very high chance to win the Brownlow, and watching him on the run home in your team would be a lot more enjoyable as well. But that's where I'm sitting. I know it's been a bit of a ramble, bit of a longer video, but I'm still very unsure of which way I'm going. As usual, teams will obviously dictate that, but do tune into the podcast soon, or we might already be live if you're watching it now. But thanks for watching as always, guys, and we will see you on the next video. Cheers.